Coming up in this week's edition of the Inter Miami Show, we're reacting to Inter Miami in the Open Cup final. A draw away in Orlando and back to work in MLS against NYCFC. Plus, it's Hispanic Heritage Month, and as you see, we're wearing the tops this week in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. We're talking to Emilio Estefan as we're in the Crescent Moon Studios in Miami, where the Estefans record. It's a brilliant place to be, and what better place to be during Hispanic Heritage Month? Let's go with this week's edition of the Inter Miami Show.
Goes for goal, and Calendar with another big save. Messi approaches, he goes for it, and he scores! Lionel Messi on his debut has produced a moment of magic. He'll now get the cross in towards Campana, strong header, and it's a second goal for Campana, and it's a second goal for Inter Miami.
And welcome into another edition of the Inter Miami Show. Chris Whittingham alongside the former England, Arsenal, West Brom, and Inter Miami defender Kieran Gibbs. It's your birthday today on the day of recording. Happy birthday, Kieran.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
What a day to be recording the show on Kieran's birthday. So much to get to, obviously, with Inter Miami busy in MLS trying to make that push towards the playoffs. And we'll react in just a moment to the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup final as we wanted to react from pitchside after the full-time result. So I guess I'm tossing to myself. Chris, tell us about how the Open Cup final went.
Thanks, Chris. As Inter Miami from the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup final, they do drop the result in the end by 2-1. Chris Whittingham, Kieran Gibbs obviously here reacting at the end of it. And in the end, it just wasn't enough on the night, Kieran Gibbs. Houston performed really well in the first half. Miami pushed in the second, but in the end couldn't come up with the win.
Yeah, it was a tough game. Listen, they huffed and puffed. Houston were really good. They were really good. They started the game bright. And I felt like Miami were just a little bit sluggish in the opening stages. They couldn't really get a foothold in the game, and it kind of just ran away from them in the end. They're tired, right? They've played a lot of games, they've racked up a lot of minutes recently. You have to give them credit for the effort they put in to even get to the final.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't meant to be. Finals are like that, you know. Sometimes it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. And so they'll be disappointed, but you know they don't have time to be sad about it. They have to pick themselves up quickly.
Yeah.
It's a big game at the weekend, and there's a lot more still to play for.
Yeah, and obviously Miami will get back in action in MLS at the weekend. We will talk about that game later on in the show. But here tonight, probably the headline before kickoff was no Lionel Messi, not even from the bench. And I think we're starting to see that maybe that injury is a little bit more than you miss a game here, you miss a game there, and he's going to need some time to recover. As you said, it's at the end of a very long run. You go back to Leagues Cup, 7 games in Leagues Cup, we played 7 games in MLS, and obviously these 2 Open Cup matches in a period of little more than 2 months. 16 games, that's a lot to try and push, and in the end, that pushing just kind of came up that little stage short.
Yeah, and the players that have come and joined, you know, they've come in and hit the ground running. And so they have to adjust to a lot, new environment, new surroundings, new temperature. And I think that's probably, you know, been a push too far, considering the amount of games, especially the 2 cup runs. That's really taken that out of them. But, you know, for me, the team have still done themselves really proud. I still feel like there's a good structure to the boys. You can see what they're trying to do. They just have to rest now and go again on the weekend.
Yeah, and I think if you look at that last stage, I think it was really entertaining. Last quarter of an hour, you see the push. There was a goal that Houston scored. It gets disallowed. You kind of get that lifeline. And then Josef Martinez scores that goal in the first minute of stoppage time. And you really felt that sense of energy come through the ground. And I think that the crowd was literally chanting, "Yes, we can, si se puede." And I think there was that feeling like maybe they can get it late. As far as cup finals go, you want to have that late dramatic finish. The fans got it. Unfortunately, just came out a little bit short, but in the moment, that's honestly one of the coolest things that I've experienced in this stadium.
Oh yeah, and it represents like how far they've come as a team, right? Because the fans believe that they can get a result even when they're 2-0 down and with 15 minutes to go. They've proven it already in other games where they've come back late into the game, and you know that's the attitude that you want to see from the players, because that's what the fans love. And it's a cup final. You never give up until the last minute, and you have to give them credit. They did that tonight.
Now, finally, just in terms of wrapping up almost the cup portion of the year, we'll get to the league push later on. You have 1 trophy in the bag, you come up just short. In the end, when you look back on this period, it will be about these cup competitions. It'll be about winning a trophy for the first time in Leagues Cup. It'll be about getting to the final of the Open Cup and just coming up short. What is sort of the prevailing feeling or the prevailing memory you think from this period in which there was so much joy in such a short span of time?
Well, obviously when the three boys came in, Messi, Busquets and Alba, and then the manager came in, it was like a complete reshape of the squad, and it kind of everyone was wondering how it was going to go. And for me, they've completely transformed the team. And not only when they're playing, but even when they're not playing, you can see how much this team has evolved and grown. So for me the biggest thing to take from this squad. I feel like it's rejuvenated them. You know, it's given the fans a new lease of life. And there's still, you know, a lot of excitement left in the season and a lot to play for. So, yeah, I think for me that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, as Inter Miami dropped the result in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup final, losing by 2-1 to Houston Dynamo. Griffin Dorsey, Amin Bassi on the score sheet for Houston. Josef Martinez, the late consolation goal for Miami. Still lots to get to on this edition of the show. We'll hear from Emilio Estefan later on the show. We'll look back on the Orlando game and look ahead to MLS action left to come. But from the Open Cup final, Miami drop it to Houston Dynamo by 2-1.
So that's how the Open Cup final played out. Now, obviously, we're back here in the Crescent Moon Studios. Coming up in the show, we'll hear from Emilio Estefan during Hispanic Heritage Month. A great chat about his career and obviously what it means to be Hispanic in Miami during this period of time. But still, obviously, Inter Miami in the push towards the playoff. A derby match last time out in Major League Soccer as Miami took on Orlando City. But Kieran Gibbs, when you look at that performance going into the game, no Messi, no Busquets, no Alba, Facundo Farias on the bench. Diego Gomez was out injured. It kind of looked like the team that we saw earlier this year. And one of the things we were talking about before the show is you kind of saw the impetus from the Miami players that have been here from day one to really step up, and they really did.
Yeah, they did, Chris. And listen, it was a really tight game. It was a really tight game, you know, and the stats showed that even possession, similar shots on target. Both teams did well and had good spells. And I thought defensively, both teams, you know, did well to deny each other the space, especially in central areas. There was a lot of joy down the wings in this game, which shows that, you know, they did well in the middle of the park. But in terms of a performance, I was really impressed with Miami in particular, you know, especially after the last game, away game against Atlanta, missing 3 crucial players. This performance for me really showed how far they've come as a team. You know, they look like they have a real structure now. The players seem to have a better understanding of each other and of the game. I thought, you know, from the back they were really calm and composed. The middle of the park, you've got Ben Hart and David Ruiz, such young players, but they look like they're thriving. I like the way their relationship between each other and Dixon Arroyo rotating in the middle, knowing when to come deep and when to stay high. And then up the top, I thought Leo and Joseph linked up really well as well. Listen, you have to give the credit mostly to Tata, right? Because he's the one that's, you know, trying to give this new identity to this team, and also the players that have come in. They seem like the younger players have learned a tremendous lot about the game,
especially when there really isn't a lot of time on the training ground because they're playing so many games, and so you have to try and implement a style and a new way of playing sort of on the fly. And it's gone all the way through from player one, which obviously is Lionel Messi, all the way down through the squad. So you see the depth tested in this game against Orlando. Let's take a look at the highlights now from that game against Orlando City. Let's show you the goals and how the game played out. It was a great atmosphere at Exploria Stadium. Obviously, so much anticipation whenever these two teams play each other. There's plenty of pink in the crowd, a great traveling section of Inter Miami supporters. They were there, La Familia out in full force. But the chances would actually start for Inter Miami. Nice challenge in there from Arroyo and Campana. Kind of saw the window to have a go. A little deflection on the strike, and Pedro Galese forced into the early save for Orlando City. And then, Kieran, we've talked about it all season long. Drake Callender has been immense in goal.
He really has. Just whenever the team need him, he's just stepped up. And then even when they have these troublesome moments, the team just do so well to manage to calm the game down for a few minutes after that, which is what impresses me the most at the moment.
And then Campana from a set piece, a strong header, is a free header in the area. Frustrated that he couldn't really steer it either side there of Galese, who does well to parry away. And then Miami working down that left side, trying to pressure here. Arroyo, another challenge coming in, and then Campana getting his head up and looking for the opportunity. Joseph shot forces the strike, and David Ruiz there to turn in for his second goal of the year.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Dixon Arroyo sustaining attacks and putting the pressure on and closing the player down in the middle of the park. That's what you want to see. And then a brilliant little corner run from Joseph, links up well with Campana. And David Ruiz, I love this from him because this is what you get from top midfielders, following up play and making sure that you're breaking runs to help the attack, and he gets his rewards.
And then Orlando would try and push back into the game. Another save there from Calendar. Did really well to hang on to some of those efforts from Orlando, not creating any rebounds. And then more press, more pressure. Duncan McGuire in behind. Nice little touch in behind through the legs of Calendar. And that is how the game would finish at 1-1. At the end of this one at Exploria Stadium. It was a great night for Inter Miami to get a point away from home. But Tata Martino, after the game, was talking as well about whether or not this is a good point enough to get Miami the push towards the playoffs.
Jugamos con 3 chicos de las divisiones inferiores, uno de ellos hizo el gol y la verdad que ahí, como vos decís, para poder sacar un empate, creo que el partido en algún punto lo pudimos haber perdido, pero creo que en otro punto también estuvo para nuestro lado. Teniendo en cuenta todo eso, después veremos si el punto en realidad para lo que buscamos sirve, pero si uno lo piensa como un partido aislado, la verdad es que me voy muy satisfecho porque hicimos un esfuerzo descomunal.
That's Tata Martino talking about the game. There are moments in which he felt like they could have won it. Maybe they could have lost it, but they have to settle for the point. We'll talk about the playoff picture later to really determine whether or not that was a good result for Miami. But realistically, away from home against the team that's second in the Eastern Conference coming into the game. And he mentions as well the 3 academy players that started in the game. David Ruiz, Ben Kremaski, Noah Allen. When the big guns came in, right? Busquets, Messi, Alba. Then you get 3 young player signings and Aviles in Diego Gomez, in Facundo Farias. That's 6 new signings coming in. You're like, are those guys going to move down the pecking order? But Noah Allen, Kremaski, and Ruiz all had their impacts on the game, and I think it sort of goes to show that the development that happened in the first 2/3 of the year is yielding and providing dividends in this last third of the year as Miami make pushes and need the full depth of squad.
Yeah, and they've chipped in all season, all 3 of those players, and there's been a lot of breakthrough stories from the young players. And you know, we said when Leo, Busquets and Alba came in, and Tata, that they had a unique opportunity to learn from the very, very best, and that is one of the most unique times in their careers for sure. And it seems like they've just taken it really in their stride, and that's what I love. They haven't shied away. They've really stood up, and you know, it seems to me that they've learned a huge amount in the last couple of months that will not only help them this season, but throughout the rest of their careers. I think David Ruiz spoke in an interview about how he has learned so much from Sergio Busquets and Messi in particular, you know, with the way that they check their shoulders all the time. They're scanning, they're looking what's around them, and you can see that in David Ruiz's play. Same with Ben Hart. I feel that they are learning to be patient over the course of 90 minutes, and you know, football doesn't always have to be 100 miles an hour. You see Leo Messi, a lot of the times he looks like he's not interested in the play, he's just scanning, and then all of a sudden he's completely changing the game. So I feel like that's what they're learning the most, you know, game management, all of these little types of things that will be so fruitful for them in their careers.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for everyone that plays for the Inter Miami Academy and the youth setup to be a part of training sessions with these guys and learn off of these guys. Now, one of the things that we were talking a bit about earlier as well was you really liked how we saw a 3-5-2 in this game, 2 out-and-out strikers up top in Campana and Josef, and we haven't really seen that a ton really from the start of the year when we thought that might be a possibility. How do you feel like they combined in the game?
Oh, I thought they were brilliant, especially in the middle of the park. I really like the rotation of the 3 of those. You know, they weren't always drawn towards the play. It's almost like they know now when to stay away from the ball, because sometimes you can be more effective if you're actually not involved and you're dragging players away from, you know, from the ball. And then they know exactly when to come deep and maybe do a bounce pass to try and switch the play. So I was really impressed with the middle of the park in particular, and I thought they had some joy down the wings as well. They had nice combination play. DeAndre Yedlin has been really good in recent games, and Noah Allen has been solid at left back. I feel like the 2 centre halves have been, you know, really calm and kept the main stability of the team. So you're just seeing a really balanced team at the moment, which is great to see.
And now, as we look forward here, Inter Miami obviously going into this last stretch of the year, 5 games left in Major League Soccer, including at the weekend against NYCFC, who actually currently represent that final playoff spot in 9th. Miami 5 points behind them with a couple of games in hand as well. You look at that chasing pack, Miami still have to play Chicago. They still have to play Charlotte as well. And so you see the opportunity for Miami to climb the standings. But, Kieran, it's such a busy period of games, including going from a cup final on Wednesday into then playing in the league on Saturday. You've obviously experienced it all in the game. You played the Saturday-Wednesday Champions League. But to go from playing in a cup final to a league match 2 days later and sort of having to go again and another test of the depth of squad, there's injury concerns right now around the group as well. How do you feel like Miami can go again in this game on Saturday night?
Yeah, listen, the stakes are at the highest they've been all season, right? And like you say, there's a big cup final and then another huge match in the league. And essentially, I think Tata said that, he doesn't know if that's going to be a good point or not in Orlando. And he's right. The only thing that they can do is focus on themselves. I went through a period in my career when we were trying to chase something and it's like you look worrying about other people's results. And actually, that's not the best way to do it. You have to focus, on day by day, game by game. Don't worry about anyone else's results. You have to control your own destiny first, and that will get you the best out of your performance. If you're worrying about other people, it will distract you in your game. And so they I'm sure Tata will be telling them that. But listen, they have come so far in the last few months, and it's like the final stretch now. Whatever happens, they all have to be super proud of themselves because they've completely transformed the team. They've given the fans a new lease of life, and if they don't make the playoffs, they will give all that they can to make the playoffs. But if they don't, they will hold on to that and they will use that as motivation for next season. But they've given themselves every chance. Essentially, we don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be an exciting run-in.
Yeah, and one of the things that Tata Martino mentioned in the pre-match press conference ahead of the Open Cup final was, well, we're playing a ton of games, but that's almost our own fault because we went on that incredible run in Leagues Cup. We could have just easily settled in, maybe gotten out a little bit early in that Leagues Cup. You would have been ready for Open Cup and for a push for the playoffs, but you already have a trophy in the bag. Like, what more as a fan, like you said, can you really ask for other than having a trophy, having a great time every time you go out to Drive Pink Stadium? The team is the most entertaining, probably the best team in the league right now, and you just get to be along for this ride.
That's it. And listen, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because that cup run you felt was the spark in what's given the team so much belief and confidence in each other, even without the really crucial players that the team has. So you can't fault them for that, and they've got their hands on a trophy. Another major final on Wednesday, which how they even got to that has been such an incredible run. So there's so much to be proud of the team, and I hope that they go into the last run-in of games with just no fear. They've come this far now. Remove any doubt and just really go for it.
So Inter Miami sharing the spoils against Orlando City last time out. Now, as we start to look ahead to Saturday as Inter Miami take on NYCFC, it is Hispanic Heritage Night. Celebrar tu Patria at Drive Pink Stadium, presented by Espelon Tequila. And so we had to, here at the Crescent Moon Studios, it's a beautiful place to be. This is the home of the Estefans. We had the chance earlier to talk to Emilio Estefan. What an incredible conversation this was. Let's hear from the legendary musical figure now. And obviously so pleased that during Hispanic Heritage Month to be joined by Emilio Estefan here in the house, in the Crescent Moon Studios. This is an unbelievable opportunity to be here and experience, obviously, all that you've done throughout your career. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Welcome to Crescent Moon. I'm so happy you're here.
So when obviously we walk in here and you're sort of blown away by all the art, by all the records, the sales and all that, what sort of was the goal with building out this studio and to kind of make it feel like almost a trip down memory lane?
Well, at the beginning, we used to rent a studio. It was really hard for us because, sometimes I wanted to be a producer. And I asked Gloria, I said, I want to be a producer. I said, do whatever makes you happy, baby. And so I did it. And then we decided that we got a little success. Even was so difficult for us at the beginning. Nobody believed in our sound. And I remember, one of the memories I remember when we bought the building, it was empty. Nothing was here. And And I said, so I hope this place that we made the right decision, and I hope, we can make some history here, we can make some good music. This became an embassy for a lot of people for all over the world.
Yeah.
All over the world, like the movies. I mean, people like Jennifer Lopez, Shakira, John Secara, Ricky Martin. I mean, not only that, we did records in Spanish, we did the crossover to all of them for the Anglo market. And that opened the door for a new era in music.
Mm-hmm.
And, in a way that it's a great accomplishment. And we're blessed that, we live in a country that gives us that opportunity to show people that even where you come from, you can love two countries and you can be proud where you was born, but we're proud and blessed to live in America.
And obviously, as part of Hispanic Heritage Month, part of the goal is sort of celebrating, obviously, the Hispanic icons, of course, which you are one. But when you say sort of that loving two countries and loving your culture, what sort of does a month where we're celebrating Hispanics mean to you in terms of, the artists that you've worked with, in terms of yourself and kind of embracing a culture? And in some ways, Miami points out towards the world, particularly from a Hispanic point of view.
Well, Miami, I think, is an incredible city. I'm so proud to, that we stay here for so many years because, represent unity. I love about unity. I think, something we live in a world now, that COVID, I hope people learn from COVID. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can get sick and you can die. And, it shows Miami is a great place because we have so many different communities. Even for Latinos, we have so many countries that come to Miami. And it's a great place because, the first generation, we went through a lot of work, a lot of hard times. There was no money, no opportunity. Now, second generation, well-educated in the States, they feel the pride of their fathers, like the Jewish community, the Italian community that they came to America. I think the next generation now is, doing so well. The door is open and they're better educated than us. They speak better than us. And something, I think they needed somebody to tell them, never change who you are. Be proud you come from. Be thankful to be living in freedom. Be thankful to live in a country that gives you that opportunity and try to make something and give back to the country. And I think that we're doing that and we feel so proud and thankful to, to so many people that help us accomplish a lot of beautiful things.
I feel like it's probably like picking your favorite child, but is there a song or a moment you had in the studio here that sort of most encapsulates what making music means to you?
Well, it's a lot of things that, make it, but for me, one of the probably the biggest thing that we did here is when Gloria recorded with Frank Sinatra. We did the first satellite in the world that we got to see. Frank Sinatra and Gloria was here in Miami.
Wow. That
was incredible. Of course, all the albums. One of my favorite albums, Mi Tierra, it was #1 on the charts. When I wrote the song with Gloria, Los Años que me quedan por vivir, it was a song that, make a lot of history. We was really big in the American market, so many hits. Gloria has like 36 #1 on the charts. And something, Gloria and me decide to do a Spanish album. And some places, people they say, it's not going to work, it's going to work. It became a #1 album. It's like going back to thank the Spanish-speaking people to the support they're giving. Because when you sell a record, you don't know who you're selling the record to. Spanish, to Italian, to Jewish. We're blessed because we've been all over the world, all the way from Japan, all the way to Africa, all the way to London, all the way to England, Holland, Germany, all the way to Mexico. That's a beautiful thing because that gives the opportunity to show that music has no language.
And one of the other things that's like that in the world is obviously soccer, futbol, as we call it for Hispanic Heritage Month. What does the sport mean to you, and what are sort of your experiences with it?
Well, I was a first minority owner of NFL of the Dolphins.
That's right.
Which is incredible. Now, what is incredible is the Inter Miami. I think that brings so much unity to the city. To see the Mas family together with all the other owners, of course, and Messi and everybody that is a part of the owner. But to me, what is it's a blessing to see hope and something unity. One of the things I always experience being in the game, when I go to the game and they play some of my music there, it's a beautiful thing because I see the joy of people, and it becomes one Miami, one South Florida. It's not about who you come. Everybody's pulling for one team. Like we're pulling everybody now for Inter Miami to win. So, and that's a great feeling. Now, so proud of the Mas family, to Jose and definitely, his mom, Jorge, all the family, because I met their father when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So to see the growth of them and how much they invest back in the community and how the support that they're getting is an incredible thing.
Now, you mentioned earlier Rabanes, which is a group that you're working with. I believe a song of theirs will be featured at the game this weekend on Saturday as Inter Miami take on NYCFC as part of Hispanic Heritage Month. Tell us about it.
It's incredible. We wrote the song, and George came by, love the song, and they've been playing the song in the stadium, and we see the reaction, people singing. When I wrote the song, I was thinking about, not even thinking about, the Inter Miami, but then it came out. I said, something? This song will be great because the hook is la 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 la. Has no language.
It sounds like a football
Anybody
chant.
can do that. But the song is a song of hope. But try to enjoy life, try to enjoy the special moment in life, and we done that. Something when you go to hard time, you learn to enjoy life, to be appreciative, to be grateful to people. And I'm so grateful that the Inter Miami, when they play that in the stadium, and they play other songs too, but that song definitely is going to be great because you're going to see people dancing and it sounds from everywhere in the world, which is great. Rabanes is a great 2-time Grammy winner. They are fantastic. They are filling stadiums all over the world now, and they're going to be there, and so they're going to enjoy a special moment in their life. That's the kind of thing you love when you do something like that and you see somebody else enjoy that incredible moment that we done. I mean, I work in 3 Olympics, 3 halftime Super Bowls. I done 40 events in the White House. To me, it's every time that I do that, it's like the first time I did it. So I never want to lose that, and that's a great thing. I'm going to have a great time on Saturday because it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Obviously, the work that you're still doing. I was telling some of the guys earlier, it's like if I'd achieved what you'd achieved, I'd be lying on a beach somewhere enjoying a drink with an umbrella in it. But
I don't think so.
you keep pushing, you keep on going, and obviously it's amazing work. Ronnie Tequila, you hear it at the stadium on Saturday as part of Hispanic Heritage Night, which will be celebrated against NYCFC. Emilio Estefan, thank you so much for having us here.
Welcome, man.
It has been absolutely sensational. I love walking down the corridors here and seeing everything that's up on the walls. You are an unbelievable man. We thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I hope I see you singing and dancing. So get ready for that.
For sure, for sure. You'll
Congratulations for Inter Miami. We're very proud, and I love the message of unity and celebration. I mean, I hope we're going to have a lot of work and a lot of success, and we win.
Thanks to Emilio Estefan for joining us. Now, as we look ahead to the weekend, Inter Miami taking on NYCFC. You've already played the Cup final. It's a really difficult period of the season in terms of fixture congestion, but really, Miami have 5 games left as they push towards the playoffs. So it's New York City on Saturday, then Chicago Fire away from home on Wednesday. Those are 2 really playoff 6-pointers, as those are a couple teams that are chasing that final playoff spot as well. But obviously, the success in Leagues Cup, what a run it's been for this Miami team. Then you start looking ahead towards next year, and Miami will probably be among the favorites to win MLS Cup next year, and in Leagues Cup again, and in the CONCACAF Champions Cup as well. You have so much to look forward to, and that all really started with that launch point of Leagues Cup. But that'll do it for us on this week's edition of the Inter Miami Show, as obviously we've had a great time here at the Crescent Moon Studios. So thanks to Emilio Estefan for joining us earlier on in the show as well. We'll talk to you next week after another duo of MLS games, Chicago and NYCFC. Enjoy the games, everyone, and thanks for watching this week's edition of the Inter Miami Show.